Mary held his shoulders and stood on her tiptoes to kiss him on the lips. She assumed that would be it, but her eyes went wide when he pulled her closer, returning her kiss. The sudden contact of his tongue in her mouth made Mary dizzy, and she squeezed her eyes shut. After a few seconds, they broke apart and Mary was left speechless. He licked his lips and gazed at her in a sultry way. "Nice service," he smirked, gathered his things, got dressed and left. Mary sank onto the nearest chair, stunned at what had happened. Then she glanced over at the money on the side table. She picked it up and was shocked to see it was $20,000. "That's way too much," she muttered. Mary quickly ran out of the room, hoping to catch up with the man, but he was already gone. "Nice job, girls. Our guest loved all your services," their boss announced, happily striding in. Mary saw Rachel's grin, apparently also having given extra service, evident from the glistening mark on her neck, as if it were licked. Mary winced and looked away, never learning that man's name. She tried not to dwell on what she'd done, but she now had money to buy Aunt Linda's meds. Whenever Aunt Linda asked where Mary got the funds, she always offered a believable excuse. Mary's heart raced as he laced his fingers with hers. "These hands," he said, "should only be touching my body." She didn't even know how she agreed, but she found herself picking up the $50,000 on the side table and nodding. Yet nothing outrageous happened in that room. He didn't even touch her intimately. He only asked her a lot of questions, which she answered all the while thinking about Aunt Linda, who needed treatment. She learned his name, Daniel Anderson, 27, a businessman. She understood exactly what he wanted from her, and in return he offered to help her aunt. He would pay for Aunt Linda's hospital stay and kidney surgery in exchange for Mary's service. "Oh," Mary cried out hours later in Daniel's bedroom as he thrust into her from behind. She clung to the bed's headboard, her knees sinking into the plush mattress. He held her waist, repeatedly driving into her. This had become her life, in exchange for Aunt Linda's life. Mary eventually quit her other jobs. Daniel made her his exclusive therapist, but after a session like this, sometimes Mary just wanted to push him away. Not because she hated it, but because the arrangement felt complicated. Still, once they were done, he'd often ask how Aunt Linda was doing, and Mary would update him on the upcoming surgery. She'd sit curled up on the bed afterward, hugging her knees. "She's okay," Mary would say softly. "Her operation is close now. There's a donor." She'd watch him stretch and then approach him to offer a massage. Sometimes he misunderstood her, thinking she wanted another round, and it made her blush when she explained she just wanted to massage him. He'd sigh and let her, while Mary's hands pressed on his shoulders. She'd quietly whisper, "Daniel, thank you." He'd ask why, and she'd answer, "Because you helped Aunt Linda. Without you, she wouldn't have gotten a new kidney, and I'd lose her." Daniel would say, "That wasn't help. You worked for it. You gave yourself to me." "That's not help, Mary," she'd reply. "I know, but I still want to thank you. My aunt means everything to me." 2 months into their arrangement, Mary realized she had feelings for him. She never said it, though, since she knew he only wanted her body and she didn't want to get hurt. When Aunt Linda's surgery came, it was a success. Mary cried with relief. Suddenly, Aunt Linda had a second chance at life. Mary thanked God, and of course Daniel. She wanted to thank him in person, but he was out of the country for a month on business. She decided to wait until he returned and had free time. Aunt Linda was still recovering in the hospital, so Mary used the remaining funds to buy her new clothes. In the middle of shopping, someone grabbed Mary's hair from behind. She dropped the clothes in her hands. "Ow!" Mary cried out. Onlookers gasped. Before Mary could react, the woman yanked her hair so hard that Mary felt a sharp pain. Then came a hard slap, making Mary's tears fall. She saw a pretty but furious woman. A second later, an older lady rushed to hold the raging girl back. "Who are you? Why did you do that? Did I do something wrong?" Mary asked, voice trembling. "You did," screamed the young woman, still struggling in the older lady's grip. A security guard stepped in to help. "You're Daniel's mistress! That's why our wedding can't move forward!" Mary's jaw dropped. "Huh?" The older lady turned out to be Daniel's mother. She had no idea Daniel was engaged. He told her there was no such relationship, that it was just them. Mary tried to defend herself, but the young woman broke free and scratched her forearm so viciously that it bled. Guards pulled her away as Mary rushed out of the store and burst into tears in the restroom. She had believed Daniel when he'd said there was nobody else. He had apparently lied. She felt devastated, even though she knew she had no right to be. After all, they had never labelled what they had. The truth was she'd fallen for him. But of course, he would end up returning to his real fiancée. Mary ignored Daniel's calls and texts. Back at the hospital, she put on a brave face for Aunt Linda, who was so happy about her recovery. Mary told herself she had no right to be angry at Daniel. He paid her. She was just a body for him. Even so, Mary's chest felt tight. Early one morning, Mary jolted awake, feeling nauseous. She ran straight to the bathroom and threw up. Tears pricked her eyes as she got it all out. Aunt Linda found her afterward, alarmed. "Why are you throwing up?" Mary shook her head, saying nothing. "Are you pregnant?" Aunt Linda asked, grabbing Mary's shoulders. Mary's eyes went wide, freezing on the spot. "You are pregnant, aren't you?" Aunt Linda insisted. "Do you have a boyfriend? Or have you done something?" "I'm not pregnant, Aunt Linda," Mary insisted, forcing a laugh. "Why would I be pregnant? I don't have a boyfriend," she said, turning away and hurrying to the kitchen. She blamed it on spoiled food she'd supposedly eaten the night before. But deep down, she was terrified. To be continued.